Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, peoples, and welcome to Sharp Ends. Today, I have a review of the Kitsune from Bark River Knives. I'm really excited about this knife. I knew that I was going to love it, and I didn't, and then I got it, and then I loved it even more than I thought I was going to love it for a number of reasons. Now, I've only had this knife for about a month, or maybe less, 3 weeks, and I'm already doing a review. Why is that? Well, I've carried it a lot, and I think that I know enough now to do it. It is, however, less time than I usually take to review a fixed blade. But there's a couple of reasons for that, and I'm going to go through those reasons. But first, I would really love if you could like, subscribe, and comment, especially comment. It really helps out the channel. Thanks so much in advance for doing that, guys. So the Kitsune is a Bark Rivers knives made in America, 154 cm. Cost me about $250. It is a Tonto style blade, meaning that the tip of the blade goes up. Now, I think a lot of Americans think of a Tonto being something like this, right? With the aggressive two bevel grinds, right? This is from Seven Forge. Um, well, it's actually more of the sweeping up profile, that the tip being higher and the belly being long, which really gives it the Tonto name or shape. It's made to be a cutting knife, a slashing knife, a knife that will poke or slash, but not something that goes toe to toe with another sword and bangs, because in Japan there was a shortage of metal, and the metal that they did have often came from meteorites and other stuff. So they made their knives not to go toe to toe with each other like in Europe, where they had broadswords or short swords or things like that, where you would clash with each other, but much more of a sweeping attack motion where you're trying to cut someone and not, bash on their sword. Um, so that's that profile. Sorry for that strange little off-topic thing. So this is small. This Kitsune, it's about 3.5 inches, and as of this recording, I believe they're still for sale. And the total length is about 7 3/4. It has these bolsters, which is very nice. The bolsters being this part right here. And also you'll notice that these lines in the bolster continue through the blade stock, and that is really nice. This is also a surprisingly, for its size, heavy knife. By that I mean, can you tell it's a fairly thick knife? Yeah, so this is the Taskmaster, which I believe is 1/8 of an inch thick. And then the Kitsune is quite a bit larger. It's not a 1/4 inch thick, like I said in my unboxing video. It is 3/16, so it's almost a 1/4 inch, but it's 3/16. Whereas the Taskmaster, yeah, is 1/8 inch. So we're talking about a full 1/8 of an inch larger, basically, which gives this knife some heft and some weight, which is really nice. Now, for slashing cuts and for things, I did go outside and I took this to a pine tree and I cut some of the longer stems off like that. Um, you know, it does that. Now, because it's thicker, right, you would expect this to be not sharp or thick behind the edge, right? So this is the Taskmaster, right? These are both convex grinds, but it's not true. This thing is scroll cutty, crazy sharp, and it doesn't matter that the spine is so thick. It still slashes through things, which is quite impressive, and I really like. Now you can't. When I cut carrots with this, it's more splitting the carrots like an axe than it is slicing through it like the Taskmaster, right? Um, it is really good though with meat. I did a little bit of meat with this. I'm generally not going to use this in the kitchen now. This is pretty much going to be something that I carry around occasionally and take around in the yard, maybe to do some yard work, but I'm not going to do it. It's kind of a safe queen to me, honestly, just because I love it so much. But the thing is that I say it's a safe queen, but then again, I really love holding it in my hand and I really like doing things with it. Um, so that's why I told you I'm doing this review ahead of time, because I've kind of determined that it's going to be kind of a safe queen, and I've done as much testing as I'm willing to do with it. I'm not going to baton with it. I could see though that if someone gets a Kitsune and they get one of the cheaper versions that just has some basic finishes on it. This is a maple burl. They get some basic finishes on it. That this could easily be an everyday work knife, belt knife, like no problem at all. It is a very practical design, even though it doesn't feel practical just because of what we usually carry in our pockets. Um, so that's why I'm doing this review early. So I talked about the size, the weight, the machining is excellent. I kind of talked about how they have this here. I haven't had any problems with Bark River's quality control issues that they had several years ago. That's not been existent for me. I really like the brass pins here. The cutting is great. The blade shape is obviously amazing. The steel 154 cm, absolutely fine for me, especially for a blade like this. Um, I like 154 cm. I think that it is a perfectly fine fixed blade knife, a steel, especially a smaller one. I think it actually is one of those knife steels that is good to crossover for pocket knives too. And as long as the price point is right, 154 is absolutely fine. This being a thick boy and a big slab with a full tang, this is all 154 cm, right? So 250 for that, and with these fittings and this machining and everything else, absolutely worth it. Um, but you have to be the type of person who is going to want this kind of blade. One other thing I should point out is that the sheath that I got with it took a while to break in, and now that it is broken in, it's absolutely fine. And it doesn't annoy me as much as some of the other Bark River sheaths do. And I haven't gone through the trouble of snow sealing this yet. I don't know if I will, honestly. I mean, I might, just because, it does look nicer when it has more of a vintage feel to it. And actually, I just did an experiment. I put, this is a different kind of leather. It started off darker anyway, but I used Wicked Wax on this instead. So I'm doing that as an experiment too. But yeah, so I haven't sealed it yet. This doesn't annoy me that much. I usually just carry the whole thing in my pocket rather than on my belt because I have cargo pants on or something like that. But I do like slashing with it, taking it in the garden. If I have weeds or something that need to be slashed down, I'll use this because it's fun. So those are my final thoughts. Like, this is kind of a showpiece. I could easily see someone getting one of the higher end mammoth scaled ones and making a little rack and having this on their fireplace. This is definitely that caliber of showpiece. So, is it practical? It can be very practical if you're the type of person who's going to use this knife. I have no problem saying that. However, I think a lot of people are going to look at this and think of it as a non-practical knife. Thank you so much for your comments, because when I did the unboxing, I had a very couple insightful viewers who made some really good comments that affected this review. So I always really appreciate your comments, because it really does help me think through some of the issues that you guys bring up, or when you challenge me on some of my thoughts. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for joining me here on Sharp Ends this week. I really appreciate it. If you could like and subscribe and leave a comment, I really also appreciate it. And if you want to become a Patreon member and help support this content, for $3 a month, you could be entered to win in an exclusive giveaway every single month. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next time on Sharp Ends. Bye-bye now.